right, Seneca Valley, we are here in the kitchen of our guest celebrity chef, Mr. Kevin Olkowski. He is going to teach us today how to make the world's best, most perfect breakfast sandwich. So Kevin, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what your actual job is? Because he's not a professional chef. While he is a celebrity, he's not a professional. Tell us what your real job is, where your love of cooking came from, and what lessons you can take from the kitchen to your actual job.
Boys and girls, I'm honored and privileged to participate in today's cooking class. I appreciate the opportunity. I love a family of longshoremen on my father's side, and Irish, Polish heritage, where cooking and family and sharing was paramount throughout my life as a young man. And many of the recipes that my family and the meals that we enjoyed were passed down for many, many years. And it's something that's just been ingrained in me since I was a young man. Food, family, friends, and fun is something that has been part of the Olkowski family since I was growing up. And we always joke when we were younger, older, and even now that, we always are planning our next meal as we're eating our current meal. And so, though we do go out to eat at times, one of the things that we love to do is pour some heart and love and soul into, feeding our friends and feeding our family and sharing in that journey.
Wonderful. And what is your real job when you're not chefing it up?
So I've been fortunate enough to be 20 plus years in retail. I've worked for Under Armour, from 03 to 2018 in sporting goods, North Face for 5 years, and now Adidas. And I essentially here today live in Pittsburgh, manage the Dick's Sporting Goods business holistically. Anything that you see from Adidas, whether it's women's footwear to soccer balls, to men's apparel, to accessories that's in a Dick's Sporting Goods store or on their website, is something that my team and I are servicing and driving with the Dick's Sporting Goods team.
And do you have any lessons that you can take from the kitchen to your job in the professional setting?
For sure. One of the things that I believe, as it relates to cooking or in my personal life, is there's a separation in the preparation. And so, putting the work in well in advance of actually when I go to cook or when I go to work is something that is paramount. I also think attention to detail. You'll hear from me today, whether it's ingredients, technique, finishing. Those are things that not only carry over from the kitchen, but also to work.
Wonderful. Right. As any chef knows, the first thing you need to be in the kitchen is safe. So can you talk us through your tools and how you keep it safe in your home kitchen?
Sure thing. One of the things that we think about as it relates to making great meals is just, a good craftsman never blames its tools, but having the right tools can also make for a great product. And so, when it comes to doing what we're going to do today, one of the things that's always been, kind of the core competency within the kitchen has been room temperature butter. I grew up in a family that was, World War II, where bread and room temperature butter was highly valued, and it's something that I always have in the kitchen at all times. You'll see over here, I have a wide variety of tools. I got the fork that's going to break the egg. I've got, or turn the bacon. I've got multiple spatulas. I have some of the best knives that money can buy, inclusive of a knife sharpener, so that when I go to cut, bread, sandwiches, or meat, I'm working with the best tools. And I also even have back here, whether I choose to use butter or Pam, a meat thermopen, which will tell me if I'm cooking meat, what temperature it's actually sitting at. So it's critical that you have all the kitchen gadgets and tools to make great product. And then from a safety standpoint, I'm always carrying my towel across the shoulder. Sometimes, I've got my apron as needed. Don't want to ruin my shirt with some bacon grease. And then I'm always thinking about fire as it relates to cooking. And so grease and water, grease and gas, that is what I'm trying to avoid. I do have a fire extinguisher underneath, my sink, but really, when we're playing with fire and we're playing with grease and we're playing with heat, the things that I'm thinking about, and I have a nice little, water spigot here. I'm thinking about making sure I'm patient, I'm managing heat, I'm keeping it at the right level, and I'm not allowing grease and water to mix, which causes fire, or grease and gas to mix, or cooking at too high of a heat that could potentially put us in a fire hazard. Those are the things I'm thinking about from a safety standpoint.
Love your safe kitchen.
Whenever you're trying to cook a meal that's going to satisfy your patrons, whether they're families, friends, or if you own a business, one of the key factors is quality ingredients. And so as I look at what we're going to do here today, and we're going to make the most premium gourmet breakfast sandwich that I can bring here to life, you look at how can we do that. And it really starts, you have egg, you have meat, you have cheese, and you have bread. And so what I try to do anytime I'm making something that I'm really serious about or really pouring some love into is making sure that I have the most premium supplies that will equal, again, a quality result and product. And so what we're looking at here today is, eggs. You can get your eggs, you can buy the grade A eggs, you can buy, the, organic, brown. All right, and so we usually start with the highest quality egg that we can bring to the table. Secondarily, we go to the meats, and so we got bacon, we got ham, we got sausage, and so Jimmy Dean, Bob Evans are great brands. Some people like links, some people like patties, some people like ham, some people like bacon, and if you're from maybe the eastern side of the state, there's also a pork roll, Taylor pork roll, that can bring a gourmet breakfast sandwich to life. Bacon, like you'll see here, this is Applewood thick sliced bacon. It costs a little bit of extra for these ingredients. However, those ingredients that you invest in are also ingredients that bring you the best result. Moving on to cheese may seem simple. Most people go to the deli counter and they will buy Giant Eagle American cheese. If you go with the brand name, it's Land O'Lakes American cheese. With a family that grew up and was, father that was raised in South Philadelphia, I've learned the art of cheese as it relates to the famous cheese steak in South Philadelphia. And so if you actually go, whether it's Henry's Meat Market or even now Giant Eagle, if you want to get the best cheese for your breakfast sandwich, it isn't necessarily a basic American cheese from Land O'Lakes or Giant Eagle. It is a Cooper Sharp Yellow American. This can be bought even at Giant Eagle. All right, and this will give you a little bit of bite and a little bit of sharpness that maybe a basic American will not give you. And I've learned through the last couple months or so with my young men that are in the house that Velveeta can be an amazing cheese addition that brings a lot of life and savoriness to your breakfast sandwich. Lastly, bread. There's for those locals, they know Mancini's, they know Breadworks. There's around the corner. All right, there's another bread store. In the shopping center across from Target. But for me, for a breakfast sandwich, you could do an English muffin, you could do a bagel. But for me, nothing beats the Martin's potato roll. All right, we're gonna hit it in the toaster. We're gonna just get it a little slight toast, but potato bread on a breakfast sandwich, wrapped in foil with the proper ingredients will net us the best result. And so can't stress enough that if you're gonna make a great product, quality ingredients will equal premium results. One of the keys to a great breakfast sandwich is having a great breakfast meat. In order to cook a great breakfast meat, it starts with your materials. So what you're seeing here right now is a little bacon. We prefer actually your thick cut bacon. When you actually go through the bacon aisle, I'd recommend, either going to the butcher or getting a thick cut and actually putting a little extra money against it so that the quality of your meat meets your expectation for a gourmet breakfast sandwich. I think one of the things I like to stress as it relates to cooking bacon is patience. If this was a race, this is more of a, what we'd call, a marathon, not a sprint. And so if you're cooking bacon on a griddle like I am, you're gonna go a little bit medium-low heat. You're gonna not try to cook it too fast, or you'll burn it. Maybe even set off the smoke detector and create a safety hazard. And so bacon can be delectable and amazing. You can cook it in the oven if you like. I'm more of a traditional, griddle and or frying pan type of guy. And what I can't stress enough is patience. Patience in cooking is super, super critical to producing great results. If you try to rush things and cook it faster than whether the product or the meat is intended, then you will fail. In addition to bacon, which we have here, some people like different types of meats. I talked earlier about it, maybe a pork roll out of South Philadelphia. My one younger boy likes ham, so I got ham over here. Just on a little bit of low heat, just getting a little crisp on those edges and getting ready to get integrated with an egg, a bread, and a cheese. And we also have a little bit of Bob Evans sausage, which you can never go wrong with some patties, if your preference is links. And you can also even go in the tube for the sausage soup, just to make sure you're creating the breakfast meat of your choice. But in order to make a great breakfast sandwich, as mentioned earlier, it starts with the ingredients. The first thing you cook before you start working on the eggs, you start working on the cheese, and you start working on the bread, is the meats. Slow and steady wins the race, and if you get this right on your journey, you will win. Coming down the home stretch, all right, for the KO Gourmet Breakfast Sandwich, we always have safety in mind, and when it gets a little late with that gas, it's very important as we touch the handle, all right, that we have something to keep us from that surface. A lot of gas, a lot of heat. We've got our potato bun from Martin's, all right, crispened up. We like to take that sandwich out. And one of our signature moves, which has been, a staple in the culinary scene, from tailgate parties to KO's Diner and in many places across the land, is using Reynolds Wrap and foil to allow for this beautiful, delectable egg, meat, and cheese to make friends with the roll. Folks, there you have it. The last thing I'll leave you on.
Last thing we'll leave you on.
Stop it. Is be coachable. Ask for feedback. Allow your customer to tell you what you do well and maybe what could be improved. The separations in the preparation and letting your guard down and getting feedback will take you to the next level, just like KO's Diner.
Now the most important part of the sandwich is to have our taste testers here use all 5 of their senses to describe what this sandwich looks like before you eat it.
Wait, hold on.
Hold on.
Make it blindfolded because your nose actually can help you taste it.
Okay, so
So,
Jack.
all right, give us one word to describe what you're smelling.
Deliciousness.
Okay. Give us an assessment.
Feels pretty warm. Feels like a bun. I smell the cheese, the egg, sausage. I'm just gonna go in deeper into detail. Pretty good sandwich.